With the start of the European Championships, no doubt we'll all be watching dozens of games featuring the world's best players and teams fighting it out for Europe's ultimate international trophy. If you're watching from outside the UK, or you might be due to go away on your holidays, many games are subject to regional broadcasting rights, making it difficult to enjoy the games you want to watch if you're in a different country. Well, fear not, because Surfshark have got you covered. Surfshark VPN allows users to connect to servers in different countries, effectively bypassing these geo-restrictions and allowing you to watch football matches on different channels and streaming services from anywhere in the world. Surfshark VPN provides users with access to servers in numerous countries. This means that football fans can easily switch their virtual location to countries where matches are freely available or where broadcasting rights are less restricted. We all want to watch the games live. Well, thanks to Surfshark VPN, we can, no matter which country we're in, whether you're on your holidays, whether you're watching from abroad, no matter where you are, with Surfshark VPN, you can watch the Euros. Surfshark VPN also encrypts your internet connection, ensuring that your online activities, including streaming matches during the Euros, remain private and secure. We all need that bit of security, and Surfshark gives you that. This is very useful if you're accessing streaming sites from public Wi-Fi networks where security risks may be higher. You might not even want to watch the Euros. You might want to break from the football and decide to watch the latest Netflix show. Baby Reindeer is one we've all been watching and debating on this channel. We've also been getting into true crime stories and true crime documentaries on Netflix. I love a true crime documentary on Netflix, and thanks to Surfshark VPN, no matter where I am in the world, I'm able to access Netflix and watch them. By connecting to optimized servers provided by Surfshark VPN, users may experience faster streaming speeds and reduced buffering, so you're not waiting ages to see if that last-minute winner actually did go in. There's nothing worse, is there, when you're watching a game and you think, oh, this is it, this is a crucial moment in the game, it's the last minute, or there's a penalty, is he going to score? And then your screen starts buffering. It is incredibly frustrating. Well, thanks to Surfshark VPN, you don't need to worry about that. Overall, Surfshark VPN offers football fans the flexibility, security, and accessibility they need to watch the Euros from anywhere in the world, making it the best choice for streaming content. England may end up disappointing us this summer, but Surfshark definitely won't. Use the code SAM24, Scotty and Motty, SAM24. There's a link in the description to this video and get an extra 4 months free.
England 2, Slovakia 1. That was one of the more pleasant, difficult watches of Euros.
Don't know what happened there. I think you might have lost us for a minute there because there was a little bit of an issue there. Gremlins in the machine. Someone's having a go at Ethan. It's not Ethan. It's producer Joe today. Joe Smith is here, but he's fixed it. He's got his screwdriver out.
He has indeed. He's fixed it like Southgate managed to fix that 11.
Where do you stand on England? Because you're not emotionally involved, are you?
Well, Italy have gone out now, so England are my third favourite team.
Who's your favourite?
Ralph Rangnick's boys.
You like Ralph Rangnick?
No, I obviously I've got a lot of investment in England with Kobbie Mainoo, man of the match performance. Let's just get into that. But before we get into that, you're watching this, subscribe, like, share, tell your friends, tell your mum. She'll go down to bingo, tell loads of other people, and we'll get more subscribers. We'll be happy, you'll be happy. Brilliant. Right, back to the game. I think you've been out for a mixed grill, Jay. I know you're on you're trying to cut out.
I like a mixed grill.
You like a mixed grill, right? Well,
yeah.
What the England team's performance reminds me of, when you've gone out for a mixed grill on a Saturday, but you need a load of orange juice to get things moving.
Right, okay, I like this.
It's very constipated football.
Yeah.
And when he started jiggling things around, putting Saka at left back, and I think Harry Kane was on the right wing at one point, it reminded me when I've gone to IKEA and tried to put a shelf up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's I'm not too sure how it's working, but it does seem to be working. And Gareth Southgate's England are in the quarterfinals of an international tournament once more, which, given the calibre of opponents that they've played, shouldn't be of a surprise. Given how badly they've performed, is something of a surprise, because when they went 1-0 down, I thought Slovakia were good value for it. and then Bellingham pops up at the depth and brought some of that Bernabeu juju
definitely.
to the Euros.
That's what Real Madrid do, innit?
Yeah.
They always find a way to win, even when they look dead and buried. He pulled that out in literally like the last minute. I thought England were going out. I was already, prepared to go live with his stream with a completely different thumbnail and a completely different title because I thought England were done. Obviously, they get the result because I think once Bellingham gets that goal, Slovakia, who did have a couple more chances, but the rest dropped slightly, getting frustrated. Then Harry Kane pops up with it. I mean, it's been a tough watch, even if you're a neutral or you are a mad England fan. Watching Gareth Southgate's team this tournament, unlike other tournaments, because I think in other tournaments, in that 2018 World Cup, in the last Euros, in the last World Cup, there's been performances.
Yeah.
In the last World Cup, we destroyed, was it USA and Iran or USA and Wales, and then Senegal. There was like performance where you go, okay, easy opposition, no disrespect to those teams, not USA.
Well, you beat them as you're expected
Iran and Wales,
to.
Sorry, we battered, wasn't it? We beat them comfortably. The first game of the World Cup, I think we won 5-1. You go back to the Euros, I think we beat Croatia in that group in the first game. A big result against a big team, beat Germany. You go back to the first World Cup under Gareth Southgate. Okay, Tunisia and Panama aren't the best teams, but we beat them. There was goals. It was like, all right.
Was it 7 against Panama? Am I right?
No, I can't remember, mate.
It was a big.
We watched it together, didn't we? Saw it. There was a lot of positivity. This tournament, though, the Serbia game, what was it? 1-0. Pretty average performance, but you go, look, it's a result. It's the first game of the tournament. Going top of the group or whatever makes sense, yeah? There's no dramas there. Kick on against Denmark. Denmark, poor. A poor performance. Denmark looked the better team in terms of the play that they had between each other, the sort of the coherence, the style. Not an easy watch. You think, all right, not the end of the world, a win and a draw. Going into that Slovenia game, an easier game against Denmark, I'd argue. Maybe you make 1 or 2 changes. The Trent Alexander-Arnold experiment hasn't worked, as me and you both pointed out on the last podcast. He goes with Conor Gallagher, changes at half-time, Kobe Mainoo comes in. England still don't look coherent. Not a great performance. And then today, that first 90 minutes were as bad as I've seen us play under Southgate, genuinely.
Yeah, it wasn't a great watch. But you've got to try and look at the positives, because if this was Manchester United, and I'm pretty sure I've seen people that are making parallels between sort of Southgate and Ten Hag football earlier on in the season for Manchester United. But you've gone through. And sometimes, how many times is the cliche, I think Fergie used it, good teams win ugly. Yeah. That is a good team. The names that are in that team are better than like 90% of the people that started the Euros. Do you know what I mean? So they're winning ugly, and I don't think it can get much uglier than it has been so far, but they are into a quarter-final. You just got to think that it has to click at some point, because they are going to have to raise the game. There could be the other side of it, when they do play someone who's more of a sort of open football, that England may prefer to do that. Because you know what I mean? United sometimes last season preferred that type of game, didn't they, rather than playing against teams that had low blocks. Because I think England's problem has been creating chances, and they just saw like, I think, was it Bellingham's overhead kick was the first shot that they had on target?
Yeah, it was.
Today. I mean, that's not good, is it? 96 minutes to get your first shot on target against Slovenia, who everybody expected them to finally put a performance in. But I just wanted to touch on Kobbie Mainoo's stats, because what time did he go off? About 70, 80 minutes?
Yeah,
which was a weird-ass substitution. I mean, there were players that played a hell of a lot worse than Kobbie Mainoo. And I'll tell you why. Because Kobbie Mainoo was probably the best player on the pitch. Yes, Bellingham got the goal. And I'm not just talking with my Manchester United bifocals on. Kobbie Mainoo completed 65 out of 68 passes against Slovakia. That's a 96% completion rate. That was the best pass accuracy of any player that started the game. Yet, Gareth Southgate took him off. 100% dribbles completed, 4 out of 6 duels won, 2 tackles, 2 shots, 1 interception and 1 key pass. He just didn't seem phased at all going into that, and it was just, I didn't understand the thinking. And it seemed when Gareth Southgate was making some of his substitutions, Saka going at left back, that he didn't understand some of the decisions. He was like, well, I better change something. I'm not too sure what he's got to change. You look at the performances in the 11 that he started against Serbia, Denmark and Slovenia, and now Slovakia. The 2 best players of this tournament for England have been Cole Palmer and Kobbie Mainoo. Yes, Bellingham's got goals and Kane's got goals, but I'm telling you, the performances from them 2 players haven't touched Kobbie Mainoo and Palmer's performances. Palmer, again, was great. I think he has to start. Foden went off. And I think he suffers sometimes down the left-hand side because I don't think Trippier is a fantastic left-back. There's no overlap for him. But I'm not going to make excuses for Man City players' performances. But Mainoo was phenomenal for me. And it was just a shame that he got to taken off and not enjoy the win at the end.
Yeah, I mean, part of me's kind of thinking, like, I can understand it because I'm thinking, all right, 19-year-old lad, played a lot of football this season, like, still sometimes you got to manage his minutes a little bit, and it's like, was there an element of, was his timing a little bit? Could you maybe, if I'm trying to play devil's advocate, look at it from that point of view and think, okay, maybe. But I think he was probably our best threat. He was getting hold of the ball, he was getting on the ball, he was running on the ball. Him and Jude Bellingham were arguably our two best threats. Foden did nothing, and he waited a little bit with Phil Foden, obviously, before he brought on Ivan Toney. But the thing was, it was all predictable. You know with Gareth Southgate what he's going to do. He's going to make the easiest substitution in terms of the easiest one to explain to the press, the easiest one to explain to his squad. Someone like a Phil Foden or a Harry Kane or Jude Bellingham, you're never going to sub them, or if you do, as in the case with Foden, it's going to be late on in the game. Foden was the one out of the players I mentioned who was probably the most likely to come off because he wasn't really doing anything. I know he had the disallowed goal, but even that, he didn't cover himself in glory because he should have stayed on side. It was an easy one to look along the line and just stay on side. So you're thinking, is he going to make that change? And it's like he was sort of forced into it, like, I've got 2 minutes to save us in this tournament. I'm going to have to do something now. I'm going to have to take Foden off. Like, it was like he waited until literally the last minute before he made the change that many of us would have done 20 minutes earlier. Because I watched Phil Foden for England, right? And Joe made this point on the Stretford Paddock watch-along. If you didn't watch Manchester City and you only watched England, you would be baffled why Phil Foden starts every week. If you were just going off his England performances and someone said to you, this kid's got 38 caps or whatever it is, you'd go, why?
Would you not say that about a lot of England players, though? In this tournament.
Like who?
Go through the board. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, Kane's got a couple of goals, but I don't think his performances have been brilliant.
I'm not even with Foden though. Sorry, forgive me.
About his overall
career
at England.
Yeah, like the last Euros, he started as
when he had the Gazarre, was it?
Yeah, and then he got dropped.
Yeah,
he stopped being a first choice team player. In the last World Cup, he did okay. Again, though, nowhere near the levels we see at Manchester City, and he wasn't one of England's best players, let alone one of the tournament's best players, which is what he should be, because he's that good. Because I do rate the kid. I'm not having a dig at him saying I don't rate him. And then this tournament, he's been okay in half of the games.
Given that, then, it doesn't seem strange with having Marcus Rashford at home or in a bar somewhere or whatever Marcus Rashford's doing this summer. Because I know that he's a natural left winger, isn't there?
I think Eberechi, he is, because it's they have Elisa, I think, on the right.
Yeah, so like to have that with Rashford, you know, if Foden isn't working and we're not getting the cross into the box, which is stifling Harry Kane's game, you know, that Rashford was just calling out for that. So it just made, when you're taking Luke Shaw that can't, you know, get any minutes, and Rashford was fit regardless of his performance, it does turn up for England, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and it's weird because, again, you look at the drop-off, Kane's got, I think, 65 goals or whatever it is. I think Bukayo Saka's got, I don't know, maybe 15, whatever. I'm not sure how many goals Bukayo Saka's got for England. Let me just have a quick look now. Sorry, forgive me, because I know the likes of obviously Tony and Ollie Watkins. So Bukayo Saka's got 11 goals for England. Foden, I think, has got 4, maybe 3 or 4. Gordon hasn't got any. I think Tony's got 1. I think Ollie Watkins hasn't got any, or he's maybe out of 1. I'm not sure. I don't think Gordon's got any. Marcus has got 17. So if you need someone who's got a bit of experience and has got some goals for the country, Marcus is an option for you. And also, Marcus Rashford, he's had a bit of a stinker this season. He's still scored against City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Spurs, I think, as well. He scored against a lot of big teams. And some of those goals have been good goals. Like the goal against Arsenal was a decent goal. The goal against City was a worlder. And even going back to his last game in a red shirt in the FA Cup final, that pass to Garnacho for Mainoo's goal is world class, that pass. Yeah. So he's always got something he can give you, even if he's not giving you a good performance over 90 minutes or someone you'd start.
Yeah.
If you brought on Marcus Rashford with 5 minutes to go, there's every chance he can dig a goal out somewhere. So I would have took him personally.
Well, you're making the question there about Foden's England career, and would you say he's a world-class player that's sort of got the stats for City? Rashford for England is a hell of a lot better than Foden for England.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
He's got 17. Someone in the chat there, Ridwan, says Rashford's got 17 England goals. I mean, I know he's played more games than Phil Foden, but that's a lot more goals as well.
You put the pressure on Harry Kane, though, with having that sort of drop-off of goal scorer. I mean, Bellingham's come to the fore during this tournament. I mean, he's only just turned 21. But like I said, there doesn't seem to be any glue that sort of bridges the gap between really experienced players like Harry Kane down to the sort of Gordons and stuff. It's just one or the other.
Yeah.
Lots of experience or very little, and you need to sort of find some balance between the two.
No, you do. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know what you think. Gary Hawks says, why all this Foden hype is beyond me. Start Gordon, FFS. Santa Notch says, all happened the moment Foden came off. Great to see Notch in the chat as well. Ian says, England have two massive problems. One, Gareth, and two, Southgate. I'm a big fan of that. Liam Cohen says, Tony was fantastic. I thought he was. Not easy if you're a player who's barely played for your country. Yeah. You're coming on with 2 minutes to go. And it's like, right, try and help us get an equaliser here as we're going out of the competition. And also, Ivan Toney this season has struggled. I know he was suspended for 6 months of it, but he's come back into the Brentford team, scored, I think, 4 goals in his first 6 games, then didn't score for 12. So you'd be forgiven if his confidence wasn't great. But it is obviously great. He rates himself, and I think you can see that in his interviews. Yeah. And he's come off the bench and he's done the business tonight in a very difficult situation.
Yeah, that header was great.
I forgot about that.
The header across for Kane, he really spotted him out because Kane had found space and there's no one around him. So, yeah, really good. Because I thought, how do you get infused for that 2 minutes to come on? You've been sat there all tournament, and England haven't been scoring, and you're a centre forward. Like, I
think it's the other way around. I think you get overly giddy. I think you're like,
this is my shot.
Yeah,
really,
like, give me the ball quick.
Really,
I think you'd be like, like a lunatic. Like Conor Gallagher, whenever he plays like it's the last minute of extra time.
He plays around like he's going to thump someone's,
Yeah, he does. He plays like it's like you've got 30 seconds to save us in this competition. Yeah. That was literally what Ivan Toney had. It was like, you go on the pitch and we've got a minute left or we're out. And yet he didn't come on and just run around like a lunatic, or there was a sort of method to what he was doing. He did what he needed to do, put himself about. Obviously, when we get the goal, it's down to Jude Bellingham, but once we got that goal, then Ivan Toney steps up as well, helps with the second goal. I think it was his assist for the
for Harry Kane.
Yeah, for the header, and all round holds the ball up well, battles, runs the channels, just does what you need a striker to do, whilst you're A, chasing the game, and then B, defending a lead. Yeah, very, very good, sort of mature performance for someone who's got about 5 England caps.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. They're mature, yeah. Very controlled, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
He knew what he had to do.
I think other than the last minute where he sort of snatched a little bit of that shot, where he skied it over, which was basically the last kick of the game. It was a perfect performance for him.
But I think that, I know it's quite old school having 2 strikers on the pitch. I think you made the reference in the watch along, it's like 1994 United.
Oh, I love that.
But with having Toney alongside Kane, it allows Kane to find more space because they don't know where the goal threat's coming from. It's very predictable for England at the moment. Who's going to score, Bellingham or Kane? That's where it'll be. And then they've struggled against, with respect, lesser opposition. Switzerland aren't the greatest team in the world, but this midfield, which has been problematic for England in this tournament, needs to step up now, and Southgate needs to decide what he's going to do, because I'm telling you, the player that Granit Xhaka has turned into since leaving Arsenal, a phenomenal season at Bayern Leverkusen. I was watching the Italy game. I was like, who's this? Like, who's this kid? Not seen him. He was like just like Tony Cruz.
Can I say something? Like, yeah, you said it anyway. It was almost like Rodri levels of just controlling and dictating again. Yeah, it was that kind of
guy. And slick with it as well. Do you know?
You're right. Tony Cruz, you can compare it. I know there's different types of players, but the player in the middle of the park that makes them tick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big Rodri fan, even though I hate him because he plays for City, but he's the guy that makes City tick. You saw it with Tony Cruz with Germany, different type of player, but similar sort of stature and similar sort of influence on the game. And you're right, Granit Xhaka, who is coming off a phenomenal season for Leverkusen, and is coming out with his chest out. Just won, the Bundesliga against Bayern Munich, unbeaten in the league, and then you're coming into this tournament. And if you look at Switzerland as well, they've got some good players. They're no mugs.
No, not
Do you know
at
what
all.
I mean? You can't just sort of go, well, okay, this is going to be a walk in the park.
Well, it's certainly not going to be a walk in the park given the opponents that they've struggled against so far. But again, let's look at the positives. Some of the younger viewers may not remember this, but David Platt, Belgium, Italy, 1990. That's what tonight felt like when you seen Bellingham do that overhead kick.
Yeah, I remember David Platt, he came in, didn't he? He was a late addition. I think Robson got injured, Brian Robson.
Yeah.
And David Platt came in, scored that volley against Belgium. I remember it was like,
you just know, and then everybody tried recreating that volley, didn't they, at school? And that everybody in school tomorrow is going to be like, that'll go down in folklore, that Bellingham overhead kick.
It will. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Let us know what you think. Tony was awesome, says Gary Hawkes. Santa Notch says they were finally able to replace Mark Haley. Hashtag Tony. Tiger UK says Walker wasn't on it tonight, maybe carrying an injury. Didn't look great today, Kyle Walker. Again, he's another player I rate. I think Kyle Walker's a very, very good player. Pains me to say it, but he looks a bit off.
He looked sluggish, didn't he?
Wasteful as well at times in possession and just not giving the ball away needlessly and creating danger. I thought the whole back four were erratic.
Yeah.
I thought there was moments. I thought Mark Gay was probably the best of them, but even he had a little couple of moments where it wasn't great. I thought John Stones, at one point almost gifted a goal away when he went to sleep. I don't know what was going on there. The replay didn't quite show it, but I think the ball was played to me. He wasn't watching, and it almost played the kid from Slovakia in. You saw Kieran Trippier. I thought actually Kieran Trippier did quite well. A couple of dodgy moments, but I thought he was probably, I correct myself, I thought he was probably actually the best of the back four. And then you ended up in this weird scenario where you've got Bukayo Saka and Eberechi Eze as your two wing backs or full backs. How have you ended up with that?
Well, you've ended up with that by not bringing enough fit left backs or full backs in the team. I think Luke Shaw starts on Saturday.
I think if Luke Shaw doesn't start on Saturday, you have got to come out and explain yourself, because that is bonkers if you've taken a player for the semi-final onwards.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if we get to the final, he might get some minutes. What?
Luke Shaw comes
Who
on
is he?
90
Lionel
seconds.
Messi. He's injured, but we'll take him anyway because of who he is. That is crazy.
Yeah, when Luke Shaw's the saviour, then when that's when you're pinning your hopes on a left back.
You only do that if it's someone like Pele.
But it's not. We were talking about this off camera, the importance of Luke Shaw. It's not just his ability at defending as a left back. It's the link-up play, and I think we agree that was why one of the reasons why Rashford struggled so much last season is because he didn't get someone bombing alongside him that would run and then give Rashford space. Luke Shaw, I think, could be the way that Foden has a better game, and I'm not trying to give the defence to Foden, but it depends who's going to play on that left-hand side. But I was listening to the radio on the way in earlier on, and they were saying that Luke Shaw was warming up, and it looked like he was going to be coming on at half-time.
Right, okay.
So I'd expect to see it. I think Trippier is on a yellow, I think, but he had a good game, but he doesn't start if Luke Shaw's fit. Make sure you're subscribing, make sure you're liking the video if you're watching.
Do you think there's any element of Southgate's been that bad now? This team's been pretty much that bad. They have to improve. They have to get better, because do you think there is a bit of you have to learn from this and go, okay, this obviously isn't working? Or do you think that he's just not got it in him as a manager? Because it comes from the manager, doesn't it?
Yeah, it comes from the manager. I don't know. It's hard, isn't it? It's like
also, Georgia have gone 1-0 up.
Have they really?
Yeah, according to someone.
I can't see that lasting. I think Spain were my favourites to win it. But I think, I don't know, the system that's being picked and stuff, and a lot of the decisions regarding starting with Trent Alexander-Arnold in centre midfield, it just seems a little bit ludicrous. He's got to change it himself. If Palmer doesn't start and Mainoo doesn't start on Saturday, then England Southgate gets everything that he deserves, for my money.
I think you've almost got to say to maybe someone like Phil Foden, you say, look, you look a little bit knackered. You've played a lot of football. We're going to swap it for this one, and we'll have a conversation if we get past Switzerland.
Phil Foden should know himself. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I was surprised because he'd been back to Manchester, hadn't he? Because he just had another kid this week. Nobody wants to be kept up all night, so maybe he's come back to Germany to get a decent night's kit. But I would have been like, he'll understand as a player, you do get rotated at international football, and his performances haven't been great. I think he's been subbed every game, hasn't he?
I think he's like you say, it's not been great. He has had a bit of a torrid time. Obviously, flying back. The thing is, flying back now with a kid, it's not great. But also, this isn't like the World Cup, like in Qatar, where Raheem Sterling came back for a week because his house had been burgled. You come back because you missed out a bit. I get that, and obviously he's been back. I think in time for some training, and it's only Germany to Manchester. It's 3 hours or whatever. So it's I don't know. I don't think it's that has had too much of an effect on him because he didn't look great before anyway. He looked all right. But this is the thing with Phil Foden. I don't want to seem like I'm digging him out because he's a City player. He shouldn't look all right because he's better than that.
Yeah.
And I know he's better than that because I've seen him tear United apart almost every game he's played against us. I've seen him tear other teams apart. There's a reason City have won so many titles and he's a big part of it. And he's just not looked that same player.
Do you think that Phil Foden is going to be, if England don't win the trophy, is going to be England's fall guy this time round? Because it's usually a United player, but the pundits across the board seem to be digging out Phil Foden a lot. Do you think that he's been England's worst player out of the starting 11 that we've seen for every game?
I don't. I mean, I get your point about like there's always a fall guy. There's always someone they blame. Is it going to be Phil Foden? It might be. It tends to be someone who's made an out-and-out mistake. And I think with Phil Foden, him underperforming isn't an out-and-out mistake unless he does something like scores an own goal or gets sent off or whatever. Like, as an attacker, it's like, well, he didn't perform. He wasn't good enough. He didn't do what he should have done. It's usually someone who's like...
Missed a sitter.
Or, you know, conceded a penalty or got sent off or whatever. So he might not be viewed in that way.
But do you think he's been England's worst performing player out of the starting 11?
It's a good question, that. I don't know about the worst. I think he's had a couple of games where he's looked all right. I think there was 2 games. I think the Denmark game in the second half, I think it was, or for a spell in the second half, he sort of came alive. And I think there was the game in the Slovenia game as well, I think I might be thinking of actually, where he did look good, where he was linking up quite well at times with Mainu and Palmer. Those 3 gelled together. I think in terms of performances, I think Harry Kane's been poor. I think in terms of his actual he's done on the pitch, I know he scored 2 goals, so you can't ignore that. But in terms of his passing and his decision making, I think it's been wanting. I think Bellingham's had a couple of bad games. He's had a couple of good ones. Today was a very good game for him, not just a goal, but I thought he played well. I thought he played well against Serbia. I thought he was poor against Denmark and Slovenia. I think every player has had a bit of an up and down spell during this tournament. I don't think you can go, he's been mint from start to finish. I think Rice has been all right. I think Gay's been all right. I think Pickford's not had a lot to do, but I don't think there's been one where you go. Mainu has done well.
Mainu and Palmer, that's what I'm saying. They're
they per minutes what they've done with those minutes. Yeah. Those 2 have been, you know, spot on. I know people go, well, you're saying that because you're a United fan. Well, I am a United fan, and I'm saying it because it's what I've seen. Yeah. Cole Palmer's not a United player, but I think he's been one of our best players. I think that's our cue. Yeah. The telly's gone off. Listen, big thank you to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. There's a link in the chat as well to our Patreon. If you can support the channel by joining our Patreon, we do appreciate it. Extra content on there as well. Going to be back next week. Going to be back tomorrow. We're going to have more content as well. Don't forget as well to go and check out Surfshark. You get, I think it's 4 months, is it? Free with them. So go and check them out. Big thank you to them for sponsoring this podcast as well. That's been Scotty. I've been Motty. This has been a review of Gareth Southgate's Barmy Army marching forward in the Euros with an absolutely epic victory over the mighty Slovakia. Thanks for watching. Right.
Yeah, man.
Well done, bro. Nice. Decent that.